Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Little Marketing Podcast, where we provide small business owners across the globe with smart and tangible marketing advice for their small business. Now, one of the biggest challenges that we see small businesses face is ways for them to stand out from the competition. We talk a lot about how one of the biggest struggles for small business owners is that we live in an over-communicated and cluttered world, and consumers and clients can only take in so much information. So as a business, if you are doing the same as everybody else, whether it's a product or service offering, then it makes it harder for you to stand out and cut through that clutter so that people start to understand what it is that you do and why you're different. So in today's episode, I'm going to talk about 9 key areas for you to consider and think about in order for you to stand out from the competition. Now, these 9 points are in our book, Small Business Marketing Decluttered. So I'm going to be taking those 9 key elements and discussing each one and why each one is a little bit important to help you to stand out. So let's get into the first one. So the first one is about thinking about the service or product offering that you provide. Now, quite often businesses will start providing a service or a product based on maybe something they enjoy doing or something that they have experience or a technical ability in doing. So they provide that offering, and then it becomes harder to cut through because chances are they're in a pretty competitive environment. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about how can you differentiate the offering that you provide from a service perspective. Can you really focus in and specialize in something? And same with the product offering. Can you make a product or deliver a product or position a product that is a bit differently to the competition? When we work with our clients, we go through a big process to help them to think about how they can differentiate their service or product offering. So we need to take the time to have a think about that. And no doubt the other 8 points that we go through today will help you to do that as well. Okay, point number 2. What do you do better than your competitors? Now, again, like I said, most of you will be in a competitive space. So do some research on what your other competitors are doing, product or service offering. Now, I'm not saying that you should be obsessed with your competitors or be copying what they do. In fact, I want you to do the opposite of what they're doing so that you can stand out and really position yourself in the minds of your customers that is different to the competition. The biggest battle you have is the competition. Marketing is a battle of the mind, so it's making sure that we position ourselves in the minds of our customers that is different to the competition, that eliminates the competition, or where there is the least amount of competition. So absolutely consider the competition, but don't be obsessed by them, but allow it to guide you so that you can be a little bit differently to them in terms of your offering, in terms of how you communicate, in terms of your audience, all of those types of things. Right, point number 3, which leads us on to, we just spoke about audience. So point number 3 is, who is your audience? Now, quite often businesses will try to target everybody. I want you to have a think about how you can really focus in on a particular audience, whether it's a sex, whether it's an age group, whether it's people with particular likes. I want you to or needs. I want you to think about who the audience is, and I want you to be explicit around communicating to that audience so that when they come across you, whether it's on a website or whether it's on a social media post or wherever it might be, if they see and hear that you target them and you're very specific around that, then there will be what we call a needs match for that particular audience. So let's pretend you're a landscaping business and you focus solely on residential homes, and I want you to then communicate that specific audience in your communication. So rather than just saying you're doing landscape for everybody, whether it's residential, commercial, industrial, strata, whatever, I want you to be really specific around who you communicate to. So don't just choose an audience, but be explicit around communicating to them as well, and be really obvious around who they are and who you help the most. Number 4, where is it that you provide your offering? So again, businesses like to try to target everybody from a location perspective. What I'd love to see you do is really focus in on a particular area, location, whether it's a suburb, a city, a state, or country. I want you to focus in on that area. And again, I want you to try to be explicit in your marketing and communication around the area that you do provide your product or service to. So that again, if someone is living in the location, they start to feel a needs match to your offering and have a higher chance of engaging you. Now remember, if we think about all these considerations as we go through, the more and more you can be explicit around what you do, who you do it for, where you do it, and why you're different, then you have a high chance of that particular audience wanting to choose you and be attracted to you versus your competitors who talk very generically about what they do, who they do it for, and where they do it. Point number 5. So we spoke about considering the competition. I want you to think about not do you just do what do you differently to the competition, but what makes you better than the competition. Now, often when we speak to business owners, they talk about how their customer service is better than their competitors. Now, the problem with good customer service or great customer service should be a default for a business. If you don't have great customer service, you probably shouldn't be in business. But that is one place that makes it hard to differentiate because they're not going to know that you have good customer service until they actually use you. So that's a hard way to differentiate. So I want you to think about what is it that makes you different to the competition. And that's why in the first point we spoke about thinking about your product or service offering and doing something a little bit different to them. As long as along with your, why your audience is different and your offering is different and where you provide that offering. So think about how you can be different. Number 6, why do clients or customers come back to you? Why do they remain loyal? There might be an underlying theme in the reason they do that, and that may be a key point of difference for you. So do an assessment on the reviews that you get or the testimonials that you get and see if there's a current theme around why people are coming back to you. And even if that's not your key point of difference, I would be using that reason in all of your communication so that people start to see the underlying theme about why people keep coming back to you and keep utilizing your product or service. Number 7, have a think. So it's what reasons have clients or customers told you that they chose your business in the first place? So again, like point 6, this may help to solidify what it is that you do a little bit different to create that point of difference. And there might be something stark or obvious that you haven't noticed. And often those point of differences are quite obvious. As business owners, you're deep in the detail of your business and you forget and you sometimes lose sight as to what it is that you do that's different, but it may be that your customers or clients hold the key to communicating that to you. And again, once you discover it, make sure you are communicating that explicitly as well. Point number 8. What can give your business credibility and provide social proof? So there's lots of activities that help you to do that, whether it's creating a podcast, whether it's publishing a newsletter, whether it's contributing to an online publication, to give yourself to give your business credibility and a bit of leadership in the field that you provide. So all those things create trust, credibility, and allow you to create a point of difference versus a competitor who doesn't have those runs on the board, who doesn't contribute to magazines, who doesn't give it free advice via YouTube, all these types of things. That action of trust and credibility can give you a point of difference above and beyond your competitors. And point 8 leads us into point number 9. How can you become an expert in your field? So if you followed those kind of 8, if you've considered those kind of 8 points that we've spoken about already, there should be some type of point of difference that you've created, some type of expertise, whether it's in location, in offering, in audience, in all those types of things, maybe a combination of all of them. And by doing that and being an expert across all those factors, you can now really position yourself as an expert in your field. And the key then is to communicate that expertise. So don't just know about it and think about it yourself and think about how good you are, but I want you to actually communicate why you're the expert and all the runs on the board in and around your business, the credibility pieces, why you're different, and all those areas of expertise that we just spoke about. So that was a quick rundown of kind of 9 key areas to consider to create a point of difference. If you feel like there's a small business owner out there that you know who needs a reminder or ways to think about how they can be different, please send this on. We'd love a rating and review as well. And we'll see you back next week for another episode of the Little Marketing Small Business Podcast.
Please note that all the information provided on this podcast is general in nature and is not intended to be specific advice to your individual situation. Please be sure to engage a professional for a customized approach to your business and personal circumstances.